Okay, I think you're going to absolutely immensely enjoy this interview. This gentleman here has inspired me from afar, and I think that you'll quickly understand why. He's had a troubled childhood. We're talking everything from depression and suicide and all sorts of battles that he's faced as a youth. And he could have used those to be an excuse as to why he couldn't achieve anything in life or why he could use that as a block, but he didn't. He succeeded nonetheless. What's so impressive about this guy is that along the way he's decided to document his journey of becoming an entrepreneur and share those wisdom and those nuggets with others around him to help them, inspire them in their lives. And I really think that you're just going to absolutely love this interview. Episode number 29 of Life Lessons TV with D'Artagnan Carlisle McDonald. So Life Lessons TV, look, it's going to be sort of, I think, a little bit edgy. I think it's going to be a little bit off the cuff. I'm letting you know now that once I get excited about a topic, I might swear a little bit. I might let a couple of curses go. So it's one of those things where I think I just want things to be kind of real. Hey guys, Adrian D'Amico here. Welcome to Life Lessons TV episode number 29, and I'm joined by D'Artagnan Carlisle McDonald. Welcome to the show.
How you doing?
I'm going great. I have been interested in you for quite some time, and I know that sounds stalkerish, but we've been friends for quite a while on Facebook, right? Which is the crazy world that we live in because you form these relationships and bonds with people online, having not ever met them before. And so today, tonight, I'm meeting you for the first time. And what I find cool about you and your style is you just got this interesting get up in terms of the look and feel. You've got a business side of you, and then this entrepreneurial side. Then you've got this self-help side. It's just it's fascinating to me. Without further ado, how about you maybe introduce yourself in terms of who you are, what you do, because I find that this is a unique interview for me in that respect. So go for it.
I understand that. Well, obviously, the name's D'Artagnan, as you know. Look, so I'm a very passionate entrepreneur, and so I sort of believe, when I say entrepreneur, I say, true blue, passionate, real A-grade sort of entrepreneur is how I put it, right? And so for me, that sort of starts from figuring out, everything from the ground up. So who you are as an individual, how you push yourself, how you give back to the community, how you develop your business. And so when I first started my business when I was about 23.
Yeah. How old are you now?
What am I now? I'm 30 years old.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so it's been 7 years.
Awesome.
I was very lost in life at that point. Certainly had a strong sense of direction of what I wanted to do, but was a very lost individual. Had a rough sort of upbringing up to that point. And so business for me was gave me the opportunity to develop and become a better person and a better individual. And so I started out as painting. So I've got 3 trades. So my license is painting, rendering, and roofing.
Right.
And so I went out and thought I'd change the colour of walls for a living. That's what I thought, and opened up so many more doors down the entrepreneurial path. That's where I sort of found my passion to truly help people and what being a business owner can truly be, rather than what everyone perceives it by just thinking that it's all work, because it's so far from that, as we know. Sure. And then going down through that journey through entrepreneurship, that's when I really found that passion. We had a network company that we started not long after that down in Adelaide, which was pretty successful at the time. So we started that when we were about 24, I think. We had over 600 people in that.
Wow.
It was quite successful at the time, and I brought my brother on. We were building a social media website and everything. We're actually trying to do if you remember Branch Out back in the day, it was very, we're going back early days of Facebook here. Nice. And a bit too young, but that's where I really found that passion of wanting to connect people and help entrepreneurs. And so there's always been this element of me growing my business.
Yep.
And then me truly wanting to give back to individuals and help them grow. And so with my rocky childhood, there's always that desire to continually grow, but then help people, empower themselves the way that I've been able to do through business, so that they can change their circumstances as well.
All right. Well, let's dive into that for a moment, because that's what I find very interesting about you. Okay. Yeah. So my path was a real estate agent in a previous life. I owned a business. I started doing things on social media which gain some attention.
Yeah, okay.
More for business, but not for real estate. So it was like, I'm feeling this urge to exit and start something new. So it was like, finish that, start this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But with you, it's different because you've got this calling to help other people and to inspire others, whatever you want to call it. But then you get up Monday morning and go render homes and paint houses. So why? Like, I know what you're saying before in terms of you've got you're a compassionate person, you want to help others. But there's many business owners who probably have a wealth of knowledge, but they don't go ahead and help others. So what's the genesis of that?
It's a good question, man. Very good question. I think it comes down to it's your DNA. It's who you are as an individual. And so, if you truly want to give back and help people, that's just going to be in your nature. And so, despite the and I say this about my brothers as well as I had a sister that passed away. She committed suicide from our troubled sort of youth. But it's this is what it is. But that's one of the reasons that I want to help people as well to overcome those sort of things. So, I battled through depression, and there's times where. I haven't really told anyone this, my family doesn't really know, but I tried to commit suicide a few times as well.
No way.
And so from 15 to 19, it was a pretty fucked up time of my life.
Yeah.
And my sister committed suicide at when I was 18, and then that was sort of the point in which I sort of went, well, hang on, what's going on? And it took a few more years of drinking and carrying on partying like most Aussie guys tend to do, until I started the business, that I started to snap out of that and think, okay, I need to do something more constructive with my time.
Right.
And so, there's always been that true passion of, just being a good person inside of me. And my brothers are very much the same. They still want to give back and they still want to help people as well. So I think, to your point of, it's about the nature of the individual. And so despite all the bad things that can happen to you, if you still want to do good, it really shows what kind of character you have.
Sure.
And so, at the end of the day, I am a business owner. I want to make money. And so what I'm doing is creating something very unique with the property renovation, that we're trying to expand that into a national franchise model.
Yeah.
But with the truly wanting to help people, I think, I kind of look at it like what you do on the 90-degree axis, and it's okay. So, you've got this goal of what you're trying to achieve in life, and everyone just thinks it's just this straight point of trying to make, $10 million or be this world famous person. But I kind of look at it, it's what you do on the 90-degree axis on the way there. And so the goal can always change. It can always be whatever you want that to be, whether that's your family or your friends. And as we evolve as individuals, that goal does change. But what we do on that 90-degree axis never should change. And that includes helping people, being there for people, inspiring people, working on yourself, everything that you possibly can do to grow community and better people's lives. So the 90-degree axis for me is a really important part of what I do, why I do.
Beautiful.
Business.
All right, so what I'm picking up on is your childhood and adolescence. Like, I guess you would know more than anyone what it's like to hit rock bottom. So it sounds like you have business kind of saved you in a sense. Puts you on. It's like when you get married. Well, for me, it's like you get married, right? So you're like, fuck, I got to get serious about life and my career now. I can't fuck around anymore. Like, if this is marriage, or I'm going to marry this person, there's going to be house, there's going to be kids, there's responsibilities. Your paradigm of the world changes. So I'm sensing that business for you changed your paradigm of the world. Then you discovered, like, okay, well, if there's still ups and downs and stuff like that. So if I go through it, well, then others must go through it as well. So let's kind of blend the two. I'm going to work and do things for myself, and along the way, I'm going to share some nuggets. Would that be correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So I already know from what you told me about your deepest, darkest moments. But if you're open to sharing it, I wouldn't mind you just telling me about, because you're young. So I'm 40, you're 30, okay? But you sound like you've gone through a lot early in your life. Between you wanting to commit suicide and your sister committing suicide, is that a short distance, or was one come before the other, or was that a trajectory of turmoil going on and bad things happened and you thought, well, if she exits, I'm going to exit as well? Can you
I think
Share as much as you want. I'm probing,
happy.
obviously.
No, well, it's important to have these conversations because these are the sorts of things that people don't want to talk about, and it's important that I, as an individual, have these conversations because we need to voice everything that we're scared of so that we can come out on the other side a stronger person and hopefully inspire people to overcome their fears as well. And so, going through to the childhood. So I was born with a partial facial palsy on the right side of my face, right? So I was born without a nerve, and it literally controls the movement on one entire side.
Right.
So I can't move and contract it, and so I have a disability.
Yeah.
And so although I was never really teased a lot because I had older brothers that instilled a lot of confidence in me, so I'd really thank them for that.
Yeah.
It's something that always played on my mind, and I always had this strong sense of self, but I always was getting in trouble, and I was always hiding away, and I was always not showing everyone who I truly was, and it was easy to be the guy getting suspended at school and getting kicked out of class and doing those things because it took me, I wanted love and the attention. Now, at these later years now I know that, but it was also a way of removing myself and not it was easy to be seen as an asshole than to smile and try, that's something that I can't do, and try and be friendly with someone. And so there's always this sense growing up of trying to be someone that I wasn't. I knew who I was on the inside, but I never felt that I could show that to everyone. And when you put all the things, and I won't speak for I don't speak for the rest of my family because that's not my place to. I do feel it's my responsibility in some capacity with my sister, for example, because she's not here to any longer to do that. But we just had a really troubled youth growing up. We came from a wealthy family, and that was taken away from us when my parents split up. And overnight, my family went from a very nice private school in Adelaide to public school overnight.
Gotcha.
And so I went through, literally wearing the same clothes to school every single day, and I went to bed, hungry almost every night. I can remember eating dry wheat bix. That's the kind of stuff that we sort of grew up with, and there were all the usual troubled things that we went through. And so at an early age, I think all the really bad stuff really started to happen around 5 and 6.
Really?
That's young. I can remember cooking my own dinners at literally 5 or 6 years old, doing my own washing, things like that. Yeah. And I don't, that's nothing, again, I'm only going to speak for myself, and what I've learned is it's not, everyone else is still dealing with their own things. Okay, they hadn't talked about these things, and they hadn't started to heal down their own journey. And so now being old enough and looking back on that, I don't blame anyone, but I just understand that as all of us, it's our responsibility to voice everything that we've been through and overcome that and heal ourselves.
Totally.
Okay? And so everything that sort of, fast forward the stuff that we all went through, that really developed me into a very strong and worldly person at an early age. And so it was, how do I channel that? I've always been a very creative person, but I had to find a way to channel that. And it was, as I said, getting into trouble at school because I was doing things I wasn't passionate about. It wasn't, where I was channeling my energy it was not constructive in any way. And then because I didn't have that strong sense of passion, that's when the suicidal tendencies came on, and the troubled sorts of things.
So what age are we talking about here? When we get to suicidal tendencies?
I think around 15 was, because I tried 4 times.
Right.
And it was pills. And I remember I ate rat poison one time.
Shit.
Yeah. I actually moved to Darwin and had a whole bunch of pills, and at the time I didn't know whether they were, so everything we had in the cabinet.
Yeah.
And I remember writing a suicide note, and then just woke up the next day kind of groggy because there weren't really anything that was going to do anything. Yeah. And then as I said, this stuff sort of progressed, and it wasn't until my sister took her own life that I sort of had this wake up moment that, okay, this isn't right, and it's not what we need to do to heal ourselves.
Sure.
And so my sister was actually she wasn't a youth worker, but she was involved as basically a youth assistant and helping down at Marion Youth Club in Adelaide.
Yeah.
And here's someone who had a very traumatic childhood, but still had a true passion to help people and want to give back.
Yeah.
And so, as we were saying just before, that goes to show that no matter all the bad things that happened to her as an individual, she still wanted to help. Yeah. She wanted to give back, and while she was still dealing with all her stuff as an individual, her depression and her fear of where she would be in 5 years, she still wanted to give back. So I think it's inherently in my family's nature to truly want to do good. But I think the issue that we've all had is that we haven't actually talked about it and said that it's our responsibility to heal ourselves. And so had my sister had that support network, she would be in a position where maybe she would be here today.
Yeah.
But this is sort of why I see it as my obligation to help other people because of my disability, because of the stuff my family's gone through. Just by voicing the stuff that we've been through, people see that there's no unique situations in this world.
Of course.
And when we start to voice this and get this out to the world, and people start to realise the similarities that we all have, and they realise that, wow, I'm not the only person going through this, and they can draw strength from our situations. And so, you know, I'm so much more than a business owner, you know, in that sense.
Totally.
I'm a human. I'm a passionate person who wants to help others overcome that. So where that journey takes me, you know, in the coming years, we'll see. But, you know, I just want to keep going down that path.
So, to me, I've got 3 young boys, right? So this is super important. Some of the work that I've been doing recently with a program called Mental You, so it's for teens, parents and teens. So I've been getting exposed to kids, you know, doing what you were doing. So like you're 30, so we're going back 15 years ago. So that's pre social media, all that kind of stuff. So nowadays it's just rife, you know, like kids like are 10 years old and they're getting badgered on Instagram or Snapchat or some shit like that. So it's fucking hectic. Like I just, anyway. So I'm leading towards, how do you bounce back from wanting to commit suicide 4 times, having a sister that does commit suicide, you've gone through the breakup. So what are the catalysts? You know, people generally have like something that shakes them up, and then they go, rightio, I'm back on the straight and narrow. To me, it doesn't happen overnight. It's a process of a series of things. Life has a funny way of kind of belting you around the ears until you learn the lesson, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what was that for you? So I'm sensing, say, 15 through to 21, 2, then it's business time, right?
Yeah.
So walk me through that.
So
what does it take to change? Is what I'm.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think so. I've always had. It's a really funny thing with me. Like, despite the disability and despite the troublesome times of my youth and all these sorts of things, I've always had a strong sense of self. Right. And so I've always had a lot of self-confidence. Gotcha. You know, and again, I do thank my brothers for instilling that in me. Like having 3 older brothers. Like toughens you up a little bit. So can you explain what's a sense of self to you? What does that mean to you? It's knowing that whatever other people's opinions don't really matter, in the sense that, you know, if you truly believe everything that you are and can be, then follow that. And I've always, regardless, you know, and you can put this down to one of the reasons I got in trouble at school all the time as well, is because I just did what I wanted to do.
Yeah, sure.
And I always knew that no matter what, that was my responsibility to say, look, if I want to do this, I'm not going to do that. And so in your earlier days, you get in trouble for that.
Right.
But as you become a business owner, you're celebrated.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so, you know, I didn't realise the correlation between the two until I started business, and I went, wow, this sort of, you know, rebel attitude that I've had my whole life really applies.
Kind of serves me now.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's where I see the connection for people that are struggling. They just don't know how to necessarily channel it. Now, business
so they don't know themselves, or they just don't realise that outside of these 4 walls or this compartment that society has a way of putting you into. Is that what it is?
I think so, absolutely. Like, we're all conditioned to obviously our surroundings, and so at the end of the day, you're only as good as the people around you. Because I was actually neglected as a child, believe it or not, and this has only sort of clicked with me over the last couple of years where I really realised this. Because I was neglected, I was out in the garden and building like retaining walls at like 7 years old. Like and you know, anyone who knows me knows this. Like, I take everything around me and I make things. I make furniture and I upcycle and I build and I create with a business, and like I take what's around me and I go, how can I make this into something fantastic? And so by not having anyone hover over me as a child, that allowed me to really just let my creative flair just fly. But without those boundaries, it obviously got me in a lot of trouble, as I mentioned, and it's been things that I really need to focus on now in terms of putting more structure in my own life so that I can excel to the best version of myself.
Sure. So what changed from that 15 through to 20? What were the things? So you got a sense of self. You're like, you know what? There's really no boundaries to what I can do. I've always called the shots. Now it's like, well, fuck, I haven't had the support and the nurturing that most, or not most, but, you know, you'd say majority of families have. So I'm really calling my shots anyway. What happened from there?
You get to the point of saying that it's my responsibility to do something about this, and you truly realise that, you know, no one's going to actually come out and make your dreams come true, whatever that might be for you. One of the first steps for me was actually when I started working out. So when I was 21, 22, 23, I really started to work it out, and I got really big. I was you know, really fit, and I did jiu-jitsu. and I did Muay Thai and I did MMA, and I was really fit, and I was training like 13 times a week, and I was shredded at that point. And I loved it because it taught me discipline, it taught me respect, it gave me focus, more self-confidence in self, and every time you're almost getting tapped out, it was that, you know, pushing yourself through it and realizing that, wow, I've got that little bit more, I just go a little bit harder. And so I recommend anyone that needs to work on their self-confidence, or anyone in general, should try some form of martial art from the fact of the self-confidence that it gives you.
But what I think you're tapping into there is you're testing like resilience and threshold. You know, like some people just have a low threshold to pain, for example, and then I feel our society has a very low threshold to stress.
Absolutely.
So when you've been under pressure to perform for such a long time, to rise to the occasion, to always do things by yourself, you're the guy that just calls their own shots. So you almost were, it's like a gift wrapped in shitty paper, right? So you're like, you know, you've been conditioned to the point where you're like, dude, you got this at a young age too, you know? So, I totally get that.
The thing with martial arts is that, you know, jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai, right, is that it's you versus them. Okay, it's everything that you have as an individual versus another individual. Okay, yes, there's rules, but it's everything you got. And so there's so many times in life that whether it's a team sport or whether it's someone that, you know, there's certain things that you can't do. When it comes to fighting, and it's not about causing harm to someone, but it's understanding how far you can push yourself as an individual. And that's when I started to break through those barriers and go, wow, I can truly do some amazing things based off something as simple as actually exercising and training hard. From that is when I actually started the business. So at 23, at my fittest, that's when I went out and said, I'm starting my business.
Really?
And I didn't have a car license at the time, but actually from, you know, a few years before I did the stupid shit I did, I lost my license for drink driving. And I lost it for like 2 years or whatever it was. But I turned around and said, you know what, I'm going to start a business regardless. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make this happen. And for, you know, 2 to 3 months or whatever it was, I didn't have a license, but I actually hired friends to come work with me at the time and got them to drop me off and had cars. And that's just that resourcefulness that comes from you know, it's that entrepreneurial behaviour. But you know, when you're come from a poor background, you know, you have to create around you. You're a survivor. And you figure out how to make the best out of every situation. And so when I look at a situation where I didn't have a license, or how did I get to this job, or how do I get perceived that it's my business and that person works for me, you get creative with your solutions.
Totally.
And so from that, I just step by step started growing the business, and that was 7 years ago now.
Fuck, that's awesome. All right. Why do you think people struggle today with, like, you know, he said earlier, we're kind of celebrated now. How did you say it? You were like, what did you say? Something was celebrated now. So back then it was like, you're doing the things that you want to do. You're calling the shots. It's like, you're a bad boy. Get
rebel behaviour.
Rebel behaviour. That's it. And so now it's kind of like the guy or the girl that runs their own show. It's like, yes, All right. So I'm all for that, calling your own shots and doing your own thing. It's definitely perceived online as a very heroic, fucking awesome thing to do. And if you're doing that, like, we should worship you, that sort of thing. And I think people are disillusioned still to just how much balls it takes to do it. And even if you do it, it's like Kerwin Ray says, like the rate of failure is such a high, like it's way against you. Like, it's not a higher probability to succeed, it's actually a higher probability to fail. And so there tends to be people that are going, I'm going to be awesome on Instagram and Facebook and all this kind of stuff. Then they just fall on their fucking face and they're like, they're down for, like, out for the count, if we're looking at a sport, So what do you think is missing, lacking in society today with people that are wanting to be entrepreneurs, start a business, just do something for themselves in a non-conforming way? They want to break away from the rat race.
To my point at the start when I said that, like, I'm a A-grade entrepreneur, the way that I put it, right, is because you have to be, it's like any sport, okay? You've obviously got your elite performers. Now, I've got a long way to go to get to the levels of where I want to get in business, right? We all do.
Yeah.
But it takes, how good are you as an individual? How creative are you? How much resilience do you have? These are things that, regardless of what, any kind of sport or whatever you do, in any field, each person's going to have a different set. Now, the grandeur that comes with being an entrepreneur now and having a massive following on Instagram, everybody wants to have a crack at it.
Yeah.
But, you know, you had to have had not necessarily a hard life, but the resilience to push through the shit. Okay, so what is your tolerance to pain? These are the things that people have to figure out. And so when you've got, you know, $10,000 bills coming in, when you've got ATO fucking hitting you up, when you've got work cover, when you've got insurances, when you've got all the fucking shit, you've got employees quitting on you, when you've got fucking customers pulling the pin, jobs getting fucked up, then you know what it's really like, and then that's when you start to develop as a business owner. And so this is something that actually fires me up because, you know, there's so many entrepreneurs that go out there and just fucking think they're entrepreneurs. Like, to me, entrepreneur is like expressing yourself in a way that provides an income, right? Correct. It's truly showing every individual who you are, but it is completely different levels of it, okay? And so if you're just going to go out and think you can have a crack at it and it's no big deal, I take seriously what I do. This is my life, and I've got nearly a decade into this, you know? And I've gone through a lot of crap. I've nearly lost everything at one point. I've had fucking multiple friends that I no longer talk to anymore. I have sacrificed my 20s. Sacrifice my 20s for where I believe I'm going to go. Right. And so things are coming to fruition, you know, and we're here having this conversation, but only because the 23-year-old kids like took the chance on himself to say, mate, you could fucking do it, believe in yourself.
Absolutely.
So people don't see, they see the glitz of this, they see the fucking Harbour Bridge in the background here and everything that's fancy today and go, wow, I wish I could do that.
Yeah,
there's a lot of shit that gets to here, and this is very far from making it.
Yeah.
But it's the delusion, it's the illusion that actually happens on social media, that people think that, hey, that's why those guys, they've already made it. You don't understand how hard it is.
You fucking nailed it, because you're seeing everyone's highlights reel, you're not seeing the journey that it took to get there.
Yeah.
It's much more than changing your Instagram status to entrepreneur, right? So there's a journey that you go on in the process. All right, so you touched on resilience. So it sounds like what people are missing is the bumps, the scrapes, the bruises, the fall downs, and the get back up and start again. It's almost like one little bump in the road and we're gone. There's no resilience. There's no threshold to pain and tolerance and stress, and like you said, you know, mountains of bills and okay, well let's perform now. You know, let's see how you do with a BAS bill of 18 grand or some shit like that. You know.
Well, so I see it all the time with people where they say, oh, I've now got 5 people and 10 people added onto my crew, and none of them are actually employed. They're all outsourced.
Correct.
Okay, and so it's like, that's not what it takes to run a business. Do you actually know what it's like to pay work cover, pay insurances, actually have all those fucking bills come in,
and
pay their wages?
Depend on you to pay their rent and their mortgage.
And so, and I'm only at a small level down here compared to a hell of a lot of other people. Like we're all playing our own game. But the important part is not to lie about it, and it's to try and portray yourself as authentically as you possibly can. And anytime I put out content, I try to do that. I understand that it's always going to be perception. People are always going to perceive it how they want to perceive it, right? Because that's our own, sort of internal dialogue we have with ourselves when we watch something. But I try and be as authentic as I can, and that's why I talk about disability, and I talk about my family, and I talk about the hard upbringings, because we want people to know that, me sitting here today having this conversation, whether people are being inspired of this or they're getting something knowledge from this, it's taken 30 years of an individual getting beaten, getting hit, getting kicked and knocked to the fucking ground, but saying, you know what, I'm going to get the fuck back up because I believe in what I'm doing. And if that can inspire them, and if they can see the truth in that, then I want them to apply that to their own life. Yeah,
that's amazing. You've got a very cool take on life in general, right? So I'm interested to know, I don't know if it's a strategic question as to where this goes for you in terms of, by day I'm painting houses, rendering, all that kind of stuff. But by night I'm shooting videos, I'm inspiring others. Is there something that you hope, is there a deeper mission for you? Is there a higher purpose for you that you think is outside of Paint and Render Co. and things like that?
Well, where we're at right now, and so this is where it comes back to the business element, right? And so, so when I started on the journey at 23, I was a painter.
Yep.
Okay, and a lot of people go, oh, he's just a painter, he paints walls, cool. What I do is I take everything around me, as I said, and so as I got into the building industry, my company actually got very big. The previous company was Adelaide Coatings, and we scaled really quickly. We did commercial, we did shop fitting and everything, right? And I absorbed all the information, all the problems, everything around me, and I just took all that in. And even then scaling too quickly, we hit walls and we fell over and we had an issue, resolved it, persevered, nearly lost everything, but came out the other end. And I said, how do I apply all the knowledge and the lessons from this and create something repeatable, something that I can teach people, something that we can take national? And from that, the Paint and Render Co. was born. Right. And so, we built custom toolboxes, we have an internal app, we have an internal grading syllabus that actually takes individuals from, regardless of whether they're qualified or not, through white, bronze, silver, gold. And we always use the analogy that just because you're a chef doesn't mean you know how to cook every meal. Same with tradespeople, and so they need further education. And so we've literally created something so unique that's completely different to everything in this country, that it's a McDonald's or a Hungry Jack's or a Subway or a Boost Juice for the building and construction industry. So we have specific packages of things we do. Right. Now, when you see the intricacies of what we built, it's phenomenal. And that's one of the things we're doing in Sydney here whilst we're on this trip, is meeting with some very influential people that are helping us on that journey, because they believe that this can be something massive. And so when I look back at the journey and how far I've come, it's about actually seeing, well, we're really almost there in the sense of, taking it to the next level, and then it all starts again. But from these self-development courses, from everything that we're instilling in the individuals, it's taking these other people, these tradespeople who want a better life, but aren't great marketers, aren't great salespeople, don't know how to deal with all the shit they've had in their life. And through my values, who I am as an individual, and I trickle that down through to my people, we're going to build the franchise model where we can help them be better individuals, where we can help them actually have better lives for their families, where we can help them grow. And so, everything will come out on the Paint and Render Co. in the next sort of 12, 18, 24 months, and people will really look back at that and go, holy shit, this guy's created something incredible, because it's not just a painting company, it is a completely unique franchise, unlike anything that's ever been done in this country. And so I know that I want to inspire people and help people and go down that path. The Paint and Render Co. is a opportunity for me to express my creative flair, to build something unlike anyone else has ever done, but then also say to people, look at all the shit that I've gone through, look at the hard stuff I've had in my life, and I still have a true desire to do good in this world and help people and to take other people and bring them into this great journey and let them do the same. And then from that we can go on and with 365 and the other things that we film, is start to truly give back, because we have a revenue stream that is from our core business that's doing amazing things.
Yeah, I love it. It sounds like that core value of yours to contribute and to give back and to have that sense of, I'll use my knowledge and expertise and life skills and lessons that I've learned along the way, but I'll package it in such a way that kind of gives you a little rollout to hopefully the best path that I can possibly create. It's legacy, which is a really cool thing.
I truly believe that we as individuals have an obligation to be the best versions of ourselves. And so for those of us who truly that are actually woke to life and are going down the self-development path, I think that it is our obligation to start talking about this. It is our obligation to start inspiring people, and that's becoming clearly a movement now where so many people are doing that. And I do praise social media in that sense, because everyone's finding their voice and they're putting their thoughts out there, they're making things a reality, and it's allowing people to connect with that and see that that they're not truly alone. So with the journey that I'm on, it's just about living authentically in the way that I can, using the knowledge and the problems that I've solved and applying it in a way that hopefully can help 5,000, 10,000, a million, whatever. It doesn't matter whether it's a million people or one person, but if you can do something amazing that truly changes their life, then you've made an impact for legacy, and you've done something that can hopefully leave a ripple effect for generations.
Sick. I could literally stay here all night and talk, but I know that's probably for another convo. I would like to leave our listeners with a life lesson. So the show's called Life Lessons. So if you could choose one life lesson that you would like to leave as a parting gift, what would it be?
Information that I give them, or?
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me is obviously no matter the circumstances in which we've all gone through, is to understand that we have everything within ourselves to be the best versions of ourselves. And so we can reach out to experts, we can reach out to everyone else, but the important thing is we truly have to have that self-confidence and self-belief within ourselves. And the only way that we truly find that is when we actually take a step forward. And even if we fumble, we realise that's okay and try again. And so I encourage everyone to just go out there, and it doesn't matter if you fail, it doesn't matter if things don't work out the way you think they are, because if people are laughing at you for actually having a crack at something, at least you're going out there and doing it. When I broke through that ceiling of realising that it truly doesn't matter whether people were judging me or not, everything changed. Everything. And when you can get to that point where you break through the ceiling and truly realise that for yourself, your world just lights up on fire. And so that's where we need to get everyone to, is that point.
I love it. D'Artagnan, thank you so much, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure to meet for the first time and to interview you.
Yeah.
And I just want to thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely, man.
There you go, guys. Adrian here. This is episode number 29 of Life Lessons TV, and I'll see you on the next episode. So, Life Lessons TV, look, it's going to be sort of, I think, a little bit edgy. I think it's going to be a little bit off the cuff. I'm letting you know now that once I get excited about a topic, I might swear a little bit. I might let a couple of curses go. So it's one of those things where I think I just want things to be kind of real.